Hello everybody and welcome back. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, I guess I could even possibly say. But definitely Happy New Year, Happy New School Year here in the Southern Hemisphere. And welcome back to another lesson in my series of videos called Let's Talk About Colouring. My name is Tatiana. I'm an Independent Stampin Up demonstrator in Australia. And last year in 2019, before the school holidays started, I started a series of videos called Let's Talk About Colouring, where we explore the different colouring methods and options you have using Stampin' Up products. We have looked at a number of them so far, and we are going to continue that. Tonight, we will be looking at pigment sprinkles. So last year we finished off the year looking at pigment sprinkles, and we used them in the sprinkle format where we sprinkled them over our paper, both dry and wet, and let they do their magic. But pigment sprinkles are very versatile because you can also use them to watercolor more in a traditional way, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So let's stop the chit chat and head to the craft desk. Fabulous. This is my setup for tonight. I do have paper. It's less messy tonight. If you rewatch lesson 7 with the pigment sprinkles, we were sprinkling them all over the place. I have done some pre-cutting and pre-making. I am using the watercolor paper that we sell, which is the Flow 100. It's a beautiful watercolor paper. I've die cut and stamped our images. And just to recap is that we're using the same images, same colors, same layout for card every week or every lesson, but looking at the differences that the effects do. So this was last lesson. This was pigment sprinkles. These are 2 of the examples, and I'm just checking out. So the difference between these 2 was that I wet the paper, the Fluid 100 paper first, and then added the pigment sprinkles. And as you can see, you get a very rich color when you do that method. This one was I sprinkled the pigment sprinkles down first and then spritzed with water, and the spritzing process dilutes more of the color, and it's still very vibrant. I can't say it's duller color, but it is not as intense perhaps as the water first. You found me, yay! You were just watching last week's video. I did do a video last week, that's right. Though I'm still out of practice on lives. I need to get back into it. Now, tonight, we will be using, again, as I said, the same colors, which were Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, and Bermuda Bay. And this time we're going to be using them as a way of watercoloring. So it's going to be our watercolor, and to do that I have the clear block. You don't need the clear block, you can have some sort of palette, something, a place to put the color. And I'm choosing a clear block because I find that this block is perfect for this kind of stuff. Let's see, I don't like the new formats of the iPads. It doesn't seem to show comments, and it's a bit of a strain to look up onto the phone every time. Oh, it disappeared. Okay. They look lovely. I think I missed that one. Yes, you can go back. All the recordings are here on Facebook and are on YouTube. And you know you're watching live if you can see the little red live box there. Otherwise, if you're watching through YouTube, this is not live. Now, I've probably put way too much. I could have done one little kind of sprinkle, but what's done is done. That was the Daffodil Delight pigment sprinkles, and now I'm going to take my aqua painter. These are sold in sets of 2, and the difference between the 2 is purely the length in the brush. If I bring that up closer, you can see that this one has a longer tip than that one, and I prefer the shorter one unless I'm doing large areas. And I have filled it, and there is a little line there, right there, to say where you should fill up to. Hi Ida, thanks for joining me. Now I'm going to create my watercolor wash by squeezing and adding water to that and mixing it in. And it is simple as that. I've now created a watercolor from my pigment sprinkles. Might squeeze a little bit more to make that more diluted. And let's bring our flowers in. Once again, I have stamped both in black. This is the Stays On Black, which is used when you're doing watercoloring because it won't bleed and it won't mix into your coloring. And then this is the standard ink pad in Daffodil Delight. This can bleed a little bit, just beware, but I'm comparing the two. And what I'm going to do is simply take that color and paint it on. You can see that compared to ink, which was our earlier lessons in this series, the color is a lot more intense. And that is a feature of the pigment sprinkles. And so I'm getting a very smooth coverage. As you can see, I only dipped this one. Hi Leanne, thanks for joining. I've only dipped this in once into my palette there, and yet I am getting a lot of coverage and really intense color, which is fabulous. And that is, as they say, that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paint over that, and hopefully while we paint the second one, that will dry a little bit. Hi Megan, thank you very much for the welcome back, and welcome back to joining me. I am glad the school holidays are over. I've had a wonderful time, but the lack of routine, the going to bed late, I'm a little over it, and I am thrilled to be doing my videos again and being able to go through a day with some sort of routine and consistency. I like routine, if you haven't noticed. Miss 6 and Mr. Master Little 8 both had a fabulous, so they've only had 4 full days of school, and they've both got teachers that are wonderful, and they're both really happy with their teachers. I'm really happy with their teachers. They've both come home in good moods, so it seems to be a very positive start to the new year. Thank you for asking, Megan. Now I wanted to add some shadowing, and that one has dried quite well. This one is a bit more absorbed water, and because I don't want to dilute the ink, I want to make it a bit stronger. I'm going to add a few more taps there and make this color more intense, and then add it in to the bottom of my petals. You don't have to do this. This is just me now playing around with what I can do. This is kind of the thing I like to do when I watercolor, is add that. And because I didn't have that intense layer of water like I normally do, I'm doing this as a two-step process. I often try to put a layer down, and that's the other thing you could do with these with any watercoloring technique really, is you could put a layer of water down on your image first, and then have that ink and that color bleed into that water. I'm just showing a different method. If you want to see that method, I believe I did that in the watercoloring section with ink, and it's the same process. So you can see the color is a bit more intense now that I've added, it's darker, and I'm just kind of following some of those folds in the stamped image up, and there we go. I mean, I am no artist, well, I'm a bit of an artist, I like to think, but I'm no expert in watercoloring by any stretch of the imagination. And honestly, look, I'm a crafter. I do this for enjoyment. And hello Kayla, you watching? You haven't said anything yet. Hope all is well. And there is no right or wrong, is basically what I'm trying to say. If you've enjoyed the process and you bring joy to others in the projects that you share with them, I think you've done it right. That is fantastic. We need some good news around here. Yeah, Australia has had some shocking weather, shocking we had a storm just pass through this afternoon here in Port Macquarie. I was quite happy to hear it, see it, and I thought, well, it was here and then it was gone very quickly, but there's reports now that it's had some building damage. It was only about 10 minutes long and there's building damage, so we've gone from one extreme, from fires to now rain, storm damage. Hello, lovely. You're multitasking. Multitasking, why is that shocking? No, not shocking at all. We all multitask. This is actually quite very serene paint colouring with you lovelies watching. Now there we go. So I've done the same similar techniques on both flowers just so that we can compare and contrast. My tip from me to you in cleaning. So before you use this, now I have just noticed as well that the colour has bled into my water. Can you see that? That my water is now yellow. So that means that the pigment sprinkles easily transfer down. So we'll need to empty that water. But firstly, I'm going to wipe the brush, and I don't like to do it on paper. You can, but I don't, because I figure that's a bit of a waste of paper. I use my chamois for this process just simply because, actually I don't want to wet that, because it's going to get washed and that's going to continuously show me yellow water. So what I'm going to do is carefully put that to one side and take my other base. So they're both interchangeable. It doesn't matter which base you use, with which nib. It has a little bit of water there. I'm going to wipe that off, and as you can see, it's still bringing out some yellow. Come on. Wow, that is intense colour. Where's my other chamois? This is amazing. This ink, these sprinkles can go far. You really don't need much of them. There. Let's move on to Granny Apple Green. I'm going to try to do only just one small tap, or 2 taps, I think that was, and dilute with water. That is bright. I'll start with the Granny Apple Green stamped image. This is very beautiful colour. I'm loving this. And down the leaf here. Now take the stamped, the black outlined version. I do recommend Googling if you want to learn more about watercolour. I am no expert in watercolour. I'm just simply showing you fun things you can do. Did I roll my R? I don't realise I rolled my R. Adding a little bit. When did I say R? What did I say? This is so liquid compared to ink. I'm just going to add in those details down the middle of these leaves. I wish I painted more with pigment sprinkles right now, because I am loving this. This is so, it's cathartic, but it's also very, you can see these ones are bleeding the colour with the ink, and that's okay, and I've done that to show you what happens. So you can compare it, and that is a look that you might be after. When I was saying it's bright, Granny Apple, that's right, I do roll my R when I say Granny Apple Green. It's just so fun. I do apologise if that bothers anyone, but this is me, and I will not change. Okay, got enough water for the last one, the Bermuda Bay, and same process. Honestly, look at that. I'm going to bring that up. Can you even see that? How tiny amount of pigment sprinkles I have put on that palette there, and when we add the water, look how intense that colour is to the tiny amount that we're using. Oh, that is beautiful. Wow. I have painted with the pigment sprinkles before, but that was with some of the other colours. I have not used these particular colours. Ah! Totally love it. Oh my goodness. So awesome. Oh. There we go. And the more water you do add, the more diluted the color is, but also the more water you'll be going onto your paper. And I am using watercolor paper, that is, so it's not going to ruin the paper, it's not going to bleed. It could bleed, but it's not going to peel the paper, so be careful of what paper you do choose. My main point is that I was going to talk about ink outline there. That's what I was trying to get to, is that remember that the color ink will bleed or blend, but you can do that. It's not right or wrong, it's just a different look. And same with this one. I'm finding that the paper is absorbing more water when I've got the ink just as the colored ink, the coordinating ink, as opposed to the black, which is really nice, but it is a beautiful color. Oh, I'm in love. I'm absolutely in love. There we go. I'm going to wipe the brush off, and I am squeezing. So all the time that I've painted all of these, I was not squeezing my aqua painter by any stretch of the imagination. I was simply letting the water that was sitting in the bristles there, and you can just slightly see, don't know if you can tell, in my camera I can slightly see the, not in my camera, in the real world, whatever the right answer is. And now it is time to assemble our cards. Pre-prepared, this is Sahara Sand card stock. I've cut it in half, scored it in half, and then stamped the same leaf stamp image. And I haven't said which stamp set we've been using. That is the To a Wild Rose. It's this beautiful set, and the reason why I chose this set is because that this flower image and the leaf can be both stamped by coloring as a method of coloring, as well as colored in, and I thought it was a really good comparison to all the products. If you want to see the other versions, please check back here or find me on YouTube at Tatiana Creative, and you'll find the other videos. I've got them in the YouTube feed, and as well as set up as a series. Now, we have been adding wonderful Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of the flower to raise it up, and then we've been slipping in the leaves behind. So that is exactly what we shall do again tonight. I do have a few more lessons planned in this series. The color is nice, Megan, isn't it? It's beautiful. There is a different intensity to these colors as pigment sprinkles compared to the ink. If I had the other cards on hand close by, I would be pulling them out and comparing the two. But alas, I've never said that, but alas, I love it. We will have to put the actually I might put these together and go grab the other ones, because I think it'll be good to compare. So I'm just adding multi-purpose liquid glue to the back of these, and then we shall stick them down, and I'll quickly go get the other samples. The reason why I like the multi-purpose glue is because that when I stick things down, there's some wiggle room, so I don't want that leaf going off the bottom edge there, but off the side edge is no problem. There we go. Oh, can't get over the color. It is just stunning. Crazy. Have I found that glue has changed in the heat? Megan, to be honest, I haven't had much opportunity to craft, and when I have recently crafted, I have started to use the glue differently, and that will be explained not in this video, in the near future, let's just say. And I found a really good way of using the liquid glue for detailed cutouts. Have you found changes to the glue? I'm guessing you have, based on what have you been experiencing, Megan? And you can type that while I go get the other cards. Say, have you? Nope. And I will find. So these are all the cards from the series that we have so far. Might as well go through them. These are the stamped versions of the cards. Sorry, that was lesson 1. Yep, nope, that file. Lesson 2 was watercoloring. There we go, the aqua brush. So let's compare. Move that to the side. Do they all fit? Nope. I don't know. Just move. Could do this. There we go. This is using the inks. Same colors, using the inks to watercolor. This is using the pigment sprinkles. Sorry, language speaking. I can't speak. And you can see that the colors are same, but the intensity, the brightness, the way they've reacted with the paper is extremely different. So there we go. That's a comparison. Megan, I'm just seeing your comment now. Yes, it seems to be thicker and just not right. I have noticed a thickness to my glue. I'll admit that, Megan, but I also associated with, I thought personally that was because I haven't crafted enough, and so therefore the glue has been sitting there for long. Imagine that's not the same case for you. Interesting. There we have it. This is lesson 8 in Let's Talk About Colouring, and I will be back next Monday. Might have to start the lesson a little bit later next Monday. I've got P&F meeting, and so we'll start at 8:30 just as a one-off so that I've got some time to transition from the meeting to this. And we will be looking at a different method of colouring using Stampin' Up products. I'm just pulling out my lesson plan, and that will be lesson 9, mixed media. So we've used each of the mediums once or twice, and now we're going to start mixing them, and this is really cool. Nobody says that you have to use one medium at a time. So we will be mixing it up and seeing how it goes. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me. Thank you for all the love hearts, and I will be back with Let's Talk About Colouring at 8:30 Monday night next week, and on Wednesday at 10 a.m. I will do a regularly scheduled live to determine which stamp set yet, but something beautiful from the new from the new mini catalogue or from celebrations. I don't know. Thank you so much. Bye for now.